A response to the call that evolved in the year 1998 was Yuva Shakti. To tell you some more about Yuva Shakti and the purpose of our gathered here, I call upon Ms. Janani Maheshwari, Executive Committee member of Yuva Shakti, to give a small introduction.
Good morning to one and all. Swami Vivekananda calls India the blessed Punya Bhumi towards gentleness, generosity, purity, calmness, and above all, spirituality. Let us take pride in belonging to a land rich in its culture and heritage, and also to the land of discoveries. The discovery of zero by Aryabhatta, surgical methods by Sushruta, to today's Chandrayaan, the oral insulin, or the latest sixth sense technology, we have done them all. However, the other side of the coin cannot be neglected. Where has the anger in us disappeared? We read about bomb blasts on a daily basis, the loss of our CRPF men on one side, honor killing and unrest within the society on the other.
Coordinator of the Shakti cell here, and other faculty members of the college, and dear students, volunteers of Yuva Shakti, Namaste and a very good morning to all of you. So we are here to commemorate this year's Freedom or Independence Day, as we call it. I would rather prefer the word freedom more than independence. Let me go straight to the heart of the matter. When we say that we are celebrating our freedom, I think it is common knowledge, common sense to say that we cannot simply commemorate our freedom or celebrate our freedom on just one day of the year. How free we are as a people, as a society, as a nation, as individuals is something that has to reflect in almost day-to-day activities. It has to reflect in what we are every day and in every hour. Okay. And one such incident which reflected how free we are happened recently when our great chess player Vishwanathan Anand won the World Chess Championship 2010 at Sofia in Bulgaria. I don't know how many of you were following Vishwanathan Anand's trail and his games at Sofia. In fact, he was delayed for the final match. He was playing against a Bulgarian player called Topalov, and he was supposed to go for that final match against Topalov to Sofia. He was delayed because of this volcanic eruption which happened in Europe, which forced many of the flights to cancel all over Europe. The flights have been cancelled. And Vishwanathan Anand requested the World Chess Championship Federation that he should be given an extension of 3 days. And because flights were not available, he cannot make it to Sofia for the final match on the scheduled date. He wanted a 3 days extension because the next flight available was only on available 2 days from then. And surprisingly, what is very surprising, and this is what I say, that it is an incident like this which shows how free we are today as a nation. The World Chess Championship Federation refused the 2 days extension to Vishwanathan Anand. Imagine a Gary Kasparov or some other, even if let's say Topalov had requested for that extension, would the Federation have refused them that time? When flights were not available, the Federation told Vishwanathan Anand, either you come on the scheduled date or you lose the championship. That was the treatment, that was the insult meted out to Vishwanathan Anand on the international stage. Poor Vishwanathan Anand stomached that insult, and with great difficulty, he managed to reach Sofia 1 day in delayed, and they allowed him that 1 day's delay with a lot of cribbing and with a lot of haggling over that 1 day's delay. And finally, he played that game, and he defeated Topalov, with full force, won the game, retained his title as the Grand Chess Master, as the World Chess Championship for the 2010. And what happened next is even more instructive. At the award ceremony, this head of the state of the Bulgarian state was supposed to give away the award to Vishwanathan Anand, the president of Bulgaria. He comes on stage, the photographs are available. You go to the World Chess Championship Federation I look for the award ceremony, all the photographs are available. This head of the state in front of the international media, he comes to the award ceremony, and then he does not even look at Vishwanathan Anand. He goes straight to Topolov on the stage and shakes hands with Topolov and says, "Congratulations, Topolov, even though you've been defeated in the game, you are the best player to me because you belong to my country." Okay? That was a public comment that he made. He gave a cold shoulder to Vishwanathan Anand, very coldly hands over the World Chess Championship Federation trophy to him and walks off. Okay? This was the treatment, as I said, the best player in this country in the field of chess had to stomach on the international stage. Why? Why did he have to stomach this insult? And why is that, as Indians, we were not outraged by this incident? Okay? And perhaps the insult would have stopped there. It should have stopped there, but it did not stop there. What happened after that is even more tragic. Vishwanathan Anand, carrying this prestigious trophy, arrives in Chennai, at the Chennai International Airport. Okay? And how many fans greeted him? Okay? How many of you were there to greet him? Or how many of Chennai's people were there to greet him? If you followed the next day's Hindu report, you would have seen that exactly 30 people were there in the airport to receive him. Okay? 30 people who were in fact chess players who knew Vishwanathan Anand were the only people to receive him at the Chennai International Airport. Now imagine an MS Dhoni, suppose he goes to Zimbabwe and gets defeated even against the worst cricket team in the world, and he lands in Chennai Airport. There will be at least 1,000 people to come and greet him there with bouquets. Okay? This is what we are today, my dear friends. Okay? Do you find something wrong in it? We talk of freedom. Are we really free? Okay? It is very symbolic. Symbolic because chess is a game that originated in India. Chess is a game which is a gift of India to the world. And this is the treatment that we give to one of the best players in chess in the world today. And cricket is a game that was imposed on us, that was left behind by our colonial masters. And look at the craze that we have for cricket today. Okay? I am also a cricket fan, and I know that all our patriotism comes out when there is an India-Pakistan cricket match, which is perhaps good, because there is no other occasion for us to show our patriotism. But then, what we are today, do you find something wrong in it? Doesn't it disturb you? Okay? It disturbs me a lot when incidents like this happen. It shows that we have a zero image on the world stage today. It's not even a zero image, it shows that we have a negative image on the world stage today. We can be taken for granted. Okay? As she said, terrorists can come, bomb our cities, burn hotels, go away, get away with it, and we don't do anything about it. And this is a negative image which leads to extensive damage to us on the international stage. You look at what is happening to Indian students in Australia today. Okay? You've been reading about the reports of racist attacks against Indian students in Australia. In the last 1 year, the unconfirmed, unofficial reports say at least around 1,000 students have been fatally, stabbed in Australia. Indian students who have been studying in Australia. Not only in Australia, it is the same case wherever you go, whether it is in UK or in America. Last year, there were 4 PhD scholars from Andhra Pradesh who were stabbed to death in New York and other parts of USA. Okay? Imagine a Chinese student, if one single Chinese student, there are thousands of Chinese students like Indian students studying in Australia and in America. How many of them do you hear being beaten up like vegetables, for causes of racism? And imagine, let's say, if a Chinese student is beaten up, will the Chinese government or the Chinese embassy keep quiet? Okay. I recall an incident nearly 7 years ago when a Chinese software engineer was murdered in New York. The Chinese embassy made so much noise that year that from then till today, we've never heard of an attack on a Chinese student. Okay. This is where we stand today on the international stage, in spite of being one of the largest democracies in the world, one of the fastest growing economies in the world. It shows that it is not enough to be the largest democracy, it is not enough to be the largest growing economy. Economic power, military power is alone not enough. There is a third power which India is very weak in today, which Shashi Tharoor popularized the term. He calls it as soft power. And it is in that soft power that we are lacking today. We are lacking in this soft power because we do not understand who we are. We don't appreciate what it means to be an Indian. We don't appreciate the idea of India itself. In fact, in my college, an incident like this happens. And everyday incidents like this, as I said, they are a slap on our face. And it was a slap on the face of the management at Amrita and to faculty like me. When this final year student called Parthasarathi went and attended a job interview. And this Parthasarathi had a peculiar problem. He was a final year computer science engineering student. And like all computer science engineering students, he was eagerly looking forward to a software job. And with him, the problem was he would go and clear the aptitude tests set by the companies. then you would go for the interview and fail in the interview and come back. This happened once, not twice, not once, but it went on for 6 months till December, when most of his classmates had one job or the other. This Parthasarathi did not have a job. Okay? And one small company from Dubai flew in because they were known to Amrita. They wanted to recruit a few students from Amrita. And our placement cell asked Parthasarathi, along with the handful of students who were left out, to go and attend that interview. Parthasarathi went for the interview. There were 3 people on the interview panel, 2 technical people. There was one HR person, a human resource person, a psychologist in fact. And as you know, if some of you perhaps are going to attend interviews this year, or perhaps will be attending interviews in a year or 2. So you will know that they will ask you some questions, personal questions sometimes, and seemingly trivial questions to draw you out what kind of a person you are, what your personality is. Okay? So this psychologist, it seems, simply asked Parthasarathi, what is Parthasarathi? What does this name called Parthasarathi mean? Okay? And our great Parthasarathi blinked in front of the interview panel. He said, I don't know. Okay? 21 years this fellow lived with that name called Parthasarathi, but when an interviewer asks him what does it mean, he blinks and he says he doesn't know. Put yourself in his shoes. How many of you will blink if that question is asked to you? Okay, we are in that situation today. Okay, we don't know who we are. We live with labels. We live with names or identities which we never understand. Okay, and poor Parthasarathi was left without a job. Okay, that was the day that we took this resolve that something has to be done to raise awareness amongst the youth in particular today, their own self-awareness, their awareness about the society around them, their awareness about their country and their heritage. It is very important because, as I said, it leads to immense damage otherwise. Tomorrow, some of you are going to be working in foreign countries. Maybe you will be working in Australia, maybe in UK. Okay? And when you have to deal with people like this, who take you for granted, how will you deal with them? Without self-confidence, without a clear understanding of your identity, how are you going to deal with them? Okay? That is, I feel, the biggest crisis in front of the youth today. Getting technical skills is not difficult. Getting a degree is not difficult. Learning English is not difficult. But becoming a person, and becoming a person of self-confidence, becoming a human being of great maturity and self-confidence is difficult. And that this education system, perhaps the mainstream education system cannot give to you. Okay? In fact, this famous traveler, American traveler, early 19th century traveler called Mark Twain, who used to come to India, okay? Satire writer as he was called. There's a very famous quote of Mark Twain. He says, Parthasarathis are being produced by professional colleges and by all the universities in India. It is because it is not one single institution or one single school that has to be blamed. There is something deeply wrong with the system. Because it is a system, my dear friends, that was set up in 1835 by a cunning British official called Thomas Babington Macaulay. Macaulay was posted to India, and he studied the Indian education system, went back to Britain, and his famous 1835 minute, as it is called, he made a remark. He said he had such contempt for India and India's knowledge systems and Indian literature that he told the British Parliament, he said that I've visited India and I've seen their literature, studied their literature. In fact, he had not studied much. He acknowledged that he neither knew Sanskrit or any of the Indian languages. He was called Pavan Verma. Okay, so this year, if you don't want to pay lip service to India on the Independence Day, please pick up this book and read it.
And I'm proud to have a number of Gagis here. So the floor is yours. You can shoot your questions now.
British man could bring out the beauty of Indian nature so beautifully. Which Indian writer is able to do that today? Okay. Think about it. Get in touch with India. Get in touch with the real India, which you do not get in these cities and through your education system. I have a friend in IIT today called Ramakrishna. Okay. He's just finishing his MTech in electronics engineering. And I asked him what he wants to do after finishing his MTech. He said he has started an orphanage in Chennai, on the outskirts of Chennai. He wants to start a full-fledged NGO for these orphans. He says he wants to train them to go to IITs, etc. You heard of the Super 30 in Bihar? Children who could not even afford to go to schools. One fellow took it upon himself to train them. All 30 of them cracked the IIT JEE examination and they're entering into IITs this year. Okay, that is the real India. Make a difference. If not, we cannot do anything about the Kashmir problem. Okay, we can only curse our politicians and curse our collective fate that we have ended up in a time like this. But at least this we can do. In our local society, there is so much we can make a difference about. Right? So spread this awareness, become aware yourself, and spread that awareness amongst your friends.
When I came away from Hyderabad and settled in Madras, yeah, that was the first thing that happened to me that I started thinking. Okay? And I was exposed to a lot of people in IIT. The one beautiful thing